The word nostalgia gets thrown around a lot, and people seem to get nostalgic for just about anything. You can be nostalgic for a song, you can be nostalgic for a toy, a movie, a toy movie, even a faucet. But we're not here to talk about any of that, because we're here to talk about video games. So don your rose-tinted glasses and pop open a $250 bottle of Halo 3 Mountain Dew. Because here we go! Video games are by far the most lucrative form of entertainment today, yet they're a relatively recent invention. They've been around long enough, though, that multiple generations have grown up playing games, and each generation of gamers holds at least some sort of nostalgia for whatever device they played on as a kid. My parents grew up with the second generation of game consoles, and my dad frequently wears his Atari shirt like a badge of honor. But much like virtual reality from 2015 to about 2017, the video games of the late 70s to early 80s were a fad. The games that you could play at that time were incredibly shallow, and felt more like tech demos than something you could realistically enjoy for more than an hour. And eventually, people realized that video games sucked ass, which led to a huge crash in 1983. But then, from the ashes, the Nintendo Entertainment System emerged, and it took America by storm through a combination of careful marketing and having video games that were actually fun to play. It propelled Nintendo to massive success, it revolutionized the industry, you've heard it all before. The point I'm trying to make here is that the NES ended up in a lot of people's homes, which resulted in it becoming a lot of kids' first video game console. Fast forward about 20 years, the children who grew up with the NES are now adults, and they're all collectively asking each other, "Remember the NES?" Gamers took to the internet en masse, posting on forums, creating Facebook groups, going through Mario withdrawals. You had people like James Rolfe, who essentially built his online career by revisiting old NES games. Despite being succeeded 4 times at this point, people still wanted to play the NES. So Nintendo, not wanting to pass up on the opportunity for potential cash, released their virtual console service with the launch of the Wii in 2006. Now, companies have always exploited customer nostalgia for the purpose of financial gain, but nobody does it quite like Nintendo. These greedy goblins are out here charging $60 for Donkey Kong Country Returns on the Switch. That game retailed for $40 on the 3DS, and for $20 on the Wii through Nintendo Selects. DK Returns is a fantastic game, and I probably would pay $60 to play it, but it probably cost Nintendo $60 to put this thing on the Switch in the first place.
The Donkey Kong Country Returns HD game.
You can buy both Hollow Knights for less than one Donkey Kong. That is bananas. At least the Mario Galaxy games are a little bit cheaper, but with how accessible emulation is nowadays, you'd have to be some kind of moron to spend money on either of these. Idiot! Yeah, so I realize now that the way I've been talking about video game nostalgia so far has come off as a bit pretentious, as if I'm somehow above the idea of liking a game just because I grew up with it. So I want to make it absolutely clear that I am that nostalgic gamer, especially for Mario Galaxy. You see, when I was but a young little Brobo, before I ever played Mario Galaxy, my experience with video games was very limited. I'd played a few quality titles at that point, but nothing really ever wowed me. That was until... If you ask Google for a list of the greatest video games of all time, Galaxy is on the very first page, right next to Galaxy 2. So when 5-year-old me, who up until this point had only ever played LEGO Star Wars and a couple Flash games, booted up the game and played through Good Egg Galaxy for the first time, it was like I'd been eating oatmeal my whole life, and had just taken a bite out of my first slice of pizza. I remember being utterly enthralled by just how much stuff you could do in this game. In Good Egg Galaxy alone, you've got spinner vines, stretchy ball plants, boulder hazards that can be destroyed if you attack their weak point, music note room, invisible sand guy, the dinosaur boss, grabber stars, hungry Luma that turns into an entire planet, and of course, the big glass pill that houses an entire 2D level with alternating gravity. Classic. Iconic even. This was just the tip of Mario's Galaxy, and even though the game continued to introduce mechanic after mechanic after mechanic, little baby Brobo rarely ever felt lost or confused. Galaxy is very careful about letting the player experiment with its mechanics at their own pace, so there's a pretty good chance that a new player will end up learning a mechanic before the game ever explicitly tells them about it. This organic way of teaching allowed me to play through Galaxy's levels without ever feeling like the game was actively holding my hand. Except when I asked my dad to beat Bouldergeist for me. One of my fondest memories of Galaxy came when I unlocked this flying power-up in the main hub. I thought this was the coolest thing ever, I'd have these pretend conversations with Captain Toad where I'd be like, I bet you a 5 mushrooms I can fly. And then Toad says,
What? That's not even possible.
That's a good Toad voice. And then I'd leave and come back with the flying power-up like, what's up, Toad, you fungus motherfucker? Better pay up or I'll ground pound your shiitake-looking face into the pearly gate galaxy, bitch. Now let's talk about the music. When it comes to feelings of nostalgia, gameplay and visuals can help us to recall those oh-so-special memories. But it's a game's music that transports us back in time and makes us feel like kids again. This is especially the case when a game's music is really, really good, like Mario Galaxy. I don't need to tell you that Galaxy's music is top-notch. You've been listening to it for this entire video. But did you know that by listening to it outside of the game, we are actually missing out on a crucial component of the music? Listen closely to these clips I'm about to show you, and see if you can hear what I'm talking about. You noticed it, right? Just about every song in the game has hidden musical notes programmed alongside it, so that when certain sound effects play, they play in key with the music. It's such a small little detail, but it ends up contributing to the overall atmosphere in a really impactful way. Now, why the hell am I still talking about Mario Galaxy? Isn't this video supposed to be about nostalgia in general? Oh, that's a fair question. First of all, this is my video, and I really want to talk about Galaxy. And second of all, I'm doing this to illustrate just how personal of a thing nostalgia really is. Everyone's formative years were different, even for people who grew up under the same roof. And even if you, the viewer, played the same games as I did growing up, our experiences with those games were undoubtedly different. Mario Galaxy just happened to be my ground floor. And you want to know the crazy part? I'm still not done talking about it. When you're a kid, the way you interact with games is completely different. Literally everything is new and interesting, and it's super easy to use your imagination to make your own fun. It's because of this that it took me so long to replay Galaxy. I was afraid that replaying this game would lack that same magic that I experienced as a kid, and that by replaying Galaxy I would somehow be overwriting those experiences. But after replaying Galaxy for this video, I can confidently say that I was on some bullshit. This game is the magic. It was the magic all along. Replaying Galaxy was the best thing I could have done. Not only did I rediscover what makes this game so amazing, I also ended up experiencing even more of the game than I ever did as a kid. Every single level is filled to the brim with so much joy, character, and unbridled creativity that I can now say that this isn't just the most important game I've ever played, but that it is also my most favorite game that I've ever played. Okay, we can move on now. A common side effect of nostalgia is viewing the past in a more positive light than the present. This happens all the time with Minecraft, a game I should not have to introduce to you. In 2019, nostalgia for Minecraft hit its peak. It felt like every other YouTuber made videos about it, and that every other Reddit post was about how glad people were that they grew up with Minecraft instead of Fortnite. Minecraft has seen a lot of content updates since then, and as any OG player will tell you, it's a wholly different game now than when it first gained popularity. And now that we live in the year 2026, nostalgia for Minecraft has taken on a new form. Now all anyone can talk about is how much better the original versions of Minecraft are. This is a very contentious topic that is extremely subjective, so allow me to break down what separates modern Minecraft from Minecraft Old Head Edition. The two biggest differences between OG Minecraft and modern Minecraft are simplicity and atmosphere. Let's start with simplicity. With OG Minecraft, you get a much more focused and deliberate experience. Let me show you an example. In modern Minecraft, mining for anything is such a fucking hassle. Every 5 minutes you have to stop what you're doing to discard the 15 different types of decorative rocks that the devs keep adding each update, for some reason. Now back to old Minecraft. Boom. The only blocks you gotta worry about are stone, gravel, and dirt. The rest is ore. I can actually fucking breathe when I open up my inventory. Of course, the unavoidable downside to this simplicity is that you miss out on a lot of the cool shit you can build within modern Minecraft. My personal favorite method of building is collecting a shit ton of one type of block, then making a giant structure out of it. Look at this world where I made an enormous inverted pyramid out of nothing but pumpkins. In OG Minecraft, I would have had to manually harvest every single pumpkin myself. But with the power of modern redstone technology, I created this automated pumpkin farm, allowing me to build my structure at the same time my farm was generating pumpkins for me. I liked that build so much that I did it again in another server. Except this time I got the orientation right. And look at this giant quartz skyscraper right next to it. When quartz was first added in 2013, I would have had to manually mine out all of the quartz needed to make my tower. Nowadays, I just use the extra pumpkins from my automated farm to buy blocks of quartz from the villagers that live inside my pumpkin pyramid. My point in telling you this is to show that these different versions of Minecraft support different playstyles. Some players will gravitate towards modern Minecraft, and others will gravitate towards OG Minecraft. And even though I am a certified Minecraft old head, I personally prefer the more content-dense modern experience, but I'd be lying if I said I didn't get frustrated with it from time to time. Now, let's move on to atmosphere. Atmosphere. Old Minecraft and new Minecraft not only play different from each other, they also feel different from each other. Let me explain. Modern Minecraft is filled to the brim with unique biomes, creatures, and features. The caves are enormous. The plant life in the land it grows from feels very natural. Everything feels so active and alive. Old Minecraft is nothing like this. The land is barren, save for the occasional village. Bizarre land formations are everywhere, and even with a far render distance, a dense fog enshrouds the land. The caves are dark and claustrophobic. Every now and then, you'll hear an eerie sound emitting from deep within the caverns. Your mind filling in the blanks as to what lies beyond that dense, unearthly fog. And then, as you precariously navigate a lava-filled ravine, you hear that iconic soundtrack begin to creep in. Old Minecraft is incredibly sparse compared to modern Minecraft, but in my opinion, this actually works to the game's advantage. Everything you find in old Minecraft tells of a world well past its prime. Whoever inhabited this world before you has been gone for a long, long time, leaving behind a blank canvas, ready for you to bring to life with your own creations. Meanwhile, in modern Minecraft, it feels like you're bending the world to your will rather than adding to it. The world feels like a lived-in place. There is so much natural beauty that the simple act of cutting down trees to build a house almost feels shameful. And I'm not even going to talk about all of the atrocities committed against the villagers in this game. Let's just say that if international law applied to Minecraft, I'd be executed. Minecraft is at its best in those tranquil moments where you're peacefully going about your business, working on whatever it is you've decided to make. You can still find this tranquility in modern Minecraft, but with so many different items and distractions, the core of what made early Minecraft so special feels like it's been blurred over. I can't really tell if what I've been saying is rooted in observant criticism or blind nostalgia. It's probably a mix of both. But what I do know is that this video is starting to get really long, so let's move on so I can wrap this shit up. At least with Minecraft, we still have access to these older versions of the game. Many long-standing online titles are either completely different now than when they first released, or their player base has simply moved on, making it impossible to experience the game in the same way that you remember. In the case of Robocraft, both of these things happened. Except you literally cannot play the game right now because the developers went out of business in 2025. But if you rewind back to 2014, Robocraft was a big deal, hitting an all-time peak of 26,000 concurrent players. It was such a big deal that it was even featured on the fronts of Steam gift cards. So what did happen to Robocraft? Well, if you ask me, it all started with these dumb fuck loot boxes. You see, Robocraft was always a free-to-play game, so the devs needed some way to make money off the game in order to continue development. So naturally, they decided to copy multi-million-dollar games like Overwatch and Counter-Strike. With games like these, loot boxes only ever contained cosmetics, while Robocraft's loot boxes were directly tied to its progression system. This was a colossal fuck-up. Robocraft was all about building your own badass machine to take into battle against other players' machines. Tying part unlocks to random chance made it really difficult to unlock the specific parts you wanted, and ended up making the game way more tedious and grindy than it needed to be. In an interview with the CEO of FreeJam, Mark Simmons, he revealed that during the game's lifespan, he and his team were extremely focused on implementing ways to increase player retention. The loot boxes were a part of this, and not only did these solutions straight up not work, they simultaneously alienated Robocraft's core audience. When I was younger, I was a part of that core audience. I actively played the game from 2014 up until 2018 when they swapped out the loot boxes for the dumbass RoboPass. I remember feeling super disappointed at what the game had become, because for a while, this was my ideal online game. I loved being able to express my creativity through whatever crazy ass machine I built, and more importantly, I could actually run the game on our family laptop. Things looked pretty dire for Robocraft from 2018 onwards, but in May of 2022, a glimmer of hope emerged. Tech Blocks was announced as Robocraft's successor, and an early access build titled Robocraft 2 released in November of 2023. And it was terrible. It was really bad. The movement and combat were slow and boring, the game ran like shit on every computer, and the RoboPass was still in the game. This build of Robocraft 2 was so bad that FreeJam completely scrapped it and started over from the ground up, with Robocraft 2 Rebuild. And then they went out of business 6 months into the project, so it went nowhere. In its heyday, Robocraft was topping Steam charts, drawing in millions of new players every month, but now all that's left is a stark example of how not to handle a successful online game. There does exist a community-run version of Robocraft that seeks to provide an experience similar to what you would have gotten in 2015, but its player counts are often very minimal, so your options for gameplay are either being stuck in an endless queue or fighting against mindless computer-controlled robots. There's also this game in development called Prokelio. It looks really similar to Robocraft. It's set to release later this year actually. Maybe it will be good. But maybe it would be better to move on and simply mourn Robocraft's death rather than try to revive it. It's nice to revisit articles from our past from time to time, but to fully live in the past is to live outside of the present, detached from reality, disconnected from what matters right now. We all need to move on eventually, lest our past consume us entirely. Just like I have to end this video right now, lest I end up working on it until I'm 40. Thank you for watching and making it to the end. If you're new to this channel and still watching at this point, you'll probably enjoy my other video essays about games. Check them out if you liked what you saw here today. Goodbye.
Okay, you're done. You're done.